Hey everyone, time for a weekly market update. This one, basically, every single week when I go over coins, it's going to be the same coins that I'm trading every single week. And for those that know me, in Peppy Academy, in the other discords that I'm in, I trade the same coins over and over again. The reason for that is if you are able to understand how one asset moves and trade that over and over again, you can make a lot of money. So for me, trading, Bitcoin, Sol, Sui, because they're highly volatile, unlike ETH, it's very easy to have the TA respected. So, when you guys are watching my videos and asking me, why do you keep going over the same coins? Well, if you're understanding how, again, one coin moves, it's very easy to do technical analysis on, and have levels charted for that asset, and then just keep playing them over and over and over again. Milking one coin, you can make a lot of money instead of being in 10 different coins, or, if you're following analysts or whatever, or CT gurus or whatever the bullshit you guys are hoarding in your downtime, um, it's better to just focus on one or two assets instead of being in 10 different illiquid shitcoins, because some of these analysts that are in the Discord, along with myself, they just play all these illiquid shitcoins and have no idea the intent of the people that are following them, right? So stay away from shit coins, focus on one or two, decently liquid coins, and you'll be able to do well. So let's go over Bitcoin. This is the short that I gave in the Discord. We had a, bearish div here on the 4 hour. It played out. That was the short. Now we're almost till the final TP, but this is where it's concerning. Okay, so we had a previous range here, right? It was just ranging for about a week and a half before we broke out. Now we have fallen back under that previous range. If this is our range highs, we turn it into resistance right there, and the next lows that I'm seeing are going to be basically this 92.8K level. We also have the lows here at 91.5K. So these are the levels that I'm currently looking at for Bitcoin to go for. This tells me that this move out here was just a deviation. This is the technical analysis that I put out on my tweet. So if you guys aren't following me, description has the link to my Twitter. And this looks very similar to this here. Okay, so we had the breakout, right? Here's a little range. Here's the deviation that we had in Bitcoin back in March of 24. When we came back down, we turned the resistance, the previous resistance, right, into support, back into resistance, similar to what we have now. We flipped it to support briefly, came back down, turned into resistance, got back below the previous range, just like we did here, and then this made its way down to the range low levels and then bounced from there. So I can see the same thing happening here. Okay, this is the same exact fractal in a way. So I can see us going back down to the range lows, but here is where Bitcoin must hold. All right, so I'm going to make this blue. This is our mid-range from the range lows to the highs. We already have established support here at 93.6. Bitcoin needs to hold that level. That is my final TP for this short. Because if we don't hold it, we will go down to the range low levels, and then eventually, this level, in my opinion, will get tested. Okay, it's going to be the breakout point or the break of structure point that we had at 87.8, 87.5 to 88K. Okay, so the other thing is we're about to lose this trend line. Okay, we're about to lose this trend line, so a potential short opportunity can be, go back down here, go and retest the range highs, and you can take a short with stop somewhere above resistance. Okay, but you have two triggers for longs. That's going to be at the sweep of these lows here. So you're just going to play it just like you would with any range. Wait for the lows to be swept, reclaimed, and you'll put your stop loss below the wick. And then if we get a deeper move into that 87.8 to 88K region, that's where you're going to play it with stops around 86K. And, at that point, we should target higher. This would be a retest of the breakout, which also there is a demand zone there. And then we target, the upper echelon of this price point, so around 100 to 103K. Okay. You know, I don't know who thought we were going to break out to 100K from here. We have very, very strong supply. Okay. We weren't going to break out on the first go around, so, don't be a permabull. Play both sides. I would love to get this demand zone here, but we're going to take it level by level first, and the levels that I gave you are on this chart here. Okay. Now, if we get a deeper push to the upside, first of all, also, for anyone that is following, these YouTube gurus or CT gurus, and they talk about CME gaps, just unfollow them. CME gaps are completely useless. But this was the original play or the original short that I was waiting for that I gave to the Discords. So if we get a deeper push into that 80 or 98.2K, which is heavy resistance, we're already rejecting from the golden pocket, but if we get that deeper push, that's where I'd be looking to reshort. There are other places where I'd be looking to reshort on lower time frames, but this would be the main swing play back down to that 88K level. All right. Now, we do have FOMC coming on Wednesday, so be mindful of that. Every single FOMC, we've rallied into it and then dumped afterwards. Okay, I don't think we're gonna get rate cuts. That's my general opinion. I don't think we get rate cuts until September. I've said that before, so my mind isn't changing on that. We have broken structure to the upside, so for now, any pullbacks into major levels are continuously for buying. But me saying that, you have to be careful because the next thing I'm going to be talking about is Bitcoin dominance. So Bitcoin dominance had a bearish div on the daily, didn't play out. It's continuously, showing strength. The weekly looks ultra bullish. We are at resistance here. Now, the tricky part is if Bitcoin dominance continues to be bullish here, right, and Bitcoin price is going down, alts are going to get hit hard, and we're already seeing that, right? Like for example, SUI, which is one of the coins I'll be going over, it's currently at $3.28. This was one of the strongest coins. Bitcoin is around that 95 to 96K level, around basically the same highs, and this was at $3.80. Now I know, and I'll talk about this a little bit more in depth, but I know this was much higher. Sol was much higher, but with Bitcoin going down and dominance increasing, alts are going to get hit hard. So you want to focus on the strongest BTC pairings for alts. All right. And if you want to long, you have to focus on strong levels to long, not just randomly long because something is giving you a pullback. Now, that being said, just keep monitoring US or Bitcoin dominance. Everyone wants this to die, obviously, right? So alts can continue to run, but I don't think that we are completely out of the woods for a deep pullback into that 92 to 88K region. All right, so I shared my thoughts on Bitcoin and I gave you my warnings on Bitcoin dominance. Just keep your eyes on this because if this continues to go the upside while Bitcoin continues to slowly bleed, alts are going to get a heavy beating. All right. Now let's talk about ETH. Again, this is one of the analysis that I shared on Twitter. ETH is holding relatively bullish. Okay, we had a Dragonfly Doji, which I don't really like to base any analysis off a single candlestick, but I'm just showing you, and here's some food for thought. We had a doji candlestick, which is a reversal pattern. Okay, we had a downtrend here. Um, we took the lows out here, so technically this reversal pattern can take a while. It's not. I'm not saying we're gonna go up to 3K, 4K levels from here with ease, but ETH is holding relatively well. All right, even on Bitcoin's dips, I think the highest ETH went was like 1850 or 60ish, 1888. But Bitcoin's down almost 4Ks from the highs, and ETH is only down $60. All right, so ETH is holding relatively well. It doesn't mean that we can't go and sweep these lows here at like 1100ish, but it's holding well. Okay, so show me showing you guys this doji doesn't necessarily mean anything. So let's go and break it down on a lower time frame. Okay. So like I said with um with Bitcoin here, we broke out of this resistance. So again, that retest could be something that we have to watch for. All right. We have an ascending triangle here like we do on Bitcoin, or that we did on Bitcoin. Let's make this a little cleaner. Now this is invalid if we dip, but see how Bitcoin had, one sec, let me bring that back up. See how Bitcoin had this ascending triangle? Okay. And then we had the breakout. Well, same thing here is happening for ETH. All right. Now, a failure to break out of here or break down is going to invalidate it. We can also extend our trend lines at that point to fit the narrative. But here is the trend line now. A good area to long ETH is going to be at this breakout point, pending retest. Okay, so this SR point, that is a good area to look for. Why did my lines disappear? Weird. Basically, here is a good area to look for longs on ETH. 1660, basically anywhere from 17 down to 1660. If we get a deep wick into this order block, that is where I would personally love to long, but I'm not saying we will. This could be a dip, a quick like flash dip. So if we get this, this is where I'd be looking to long. Okay. Otherwise, if we get a retest into this area and consolidate, that's where I'd be looking to long. All right. Now, I am not overly bullish on ETH. Like I said, I will be sharing the same analysis over and over and over again on ETH because nothing will change. We have to get above this level, this 2200 to 2300, for me to be bullish on ETH. Okay. Anything below here doesn't mean shit to me. We have to clear this to go higher. Now, let me just say, although the price action for Bitcoin and the crypto markets has been bullish, we have reclaimed bullish structure. Um, I agree with what Warren Buffett said. He basically said the last 30 to 45 days of price action and movements in the market and all news development mean absolutely nothing. And this man was one of the first to publicly, sell his Bank of America stock and everything go in cash before Trump came into office and a little bit after Trump as well. And other CEOs like Jeff Bezos followed suit, but this guy is stepping down at the end of the year. Okay, so a legendary run for Mr. Buffett, and you gotta like think about that a little bit. Like, what does he know? Why is he stepping down? Why is he stepping down now? I know he's as old as a dinosaur, but why is he stepping down? All right, so I tend to agree with him that this movement that we had in the market for the last 30 to 45 days absolutely means nothing. Okay, we are still in a terrible economy. Trump is a fucking moron. So the White House did also say that we won't have another tariff pause, okay? But they've also continuously been saying this for a while, so we can't trust them either. If we get another dip, another buy the dip opportunity, I don't think we stop at that 73 to 69, or sorry, at that 80 to 85k level on a higher time frame. If we get a giant nuke, I think we go down to that 73 to 69k level. It's not going to happen anytime soon unless otherwise, we have days and days and days worth of just terrible news. But I do think that if we get that dip, that will be your final dip. Um, uh, but alts, like I said, like I don't think Bitcoin is done for this cycle. I've always had that cycle top of 120 to 135k, but I do think that most alts have topped for this cycle, and I'm not changing my mind there until like things progress. So um, that's just my bias, and I don't think for a trader you should really have a bias. You have to change it consistently, adapt to the markets. But currently that's my belief until I'm proven right. Right. Um, or I'm sorry, I'm proven wrong. So for ETH, that's where I'm looking for longs, and in the event that we get the first touch of this area, okay, so anywhere from like 2150 up to 2300ish, that's where I'd be looking for swing shorts. It's not going, I mean, when I draw this tool, it doesn't mean price goes down to that level immediately, or it doesn't mean it has to. If I give a video um, setup. Okay, these are not official in the Discord. The only official calls that I give are in the Discord, so I won't be updating these for anyone. Right? You have to decide when to take profits. You gotta decide when to get out for a loss. I'm not here to handhold anyone. Um, but if we do go there, this is where I would personally be looking to short from 2150 to 2300 and looking for at least like a 5 to 10% unleveraged move from this area. Um, and if we do flip this level into supports, then I'd be looking to manually get out of this short. All right, but for now, this is the major short level. These are the major long levels, and on a lower time frame, if we flip this into support, this is your conditional trigger to go long and target that wick high, and stops would be below this support. Now, this is a trigger long. We have to flip this into support, not close above, and that is your trigger long to play this. And your technical targets of this will be around like this resistance here, but you're going to be targeting that high there for about a 2.5 hour trade. Okay, so I'm not, like I said, I'm not really interested in leveraging ETH. I haven't touched ETH in over like a few months. My side chick has gotten more attention than ETH has, but like this isn't one of the coins to trade. This is absolutely garbage. I'd rather focus on coins like I mentioned, Sol and Sui that have volatility and easier to trade. Speaking of Sol, okay, now Sol, okay, we had the break of structure, right? We even retested that point and held. Now I'm looking for a higher low into a bullish Quasimodo, right? So we had the lower low into the lower high, lower low into a higher low, come back down, or sorry, into a higher high, come back down into a higher low, and then I'm looking for a move into 180. So I'd be looking to look for longs in this 134.5 range, stops below 121, and basically from 134 down to 125 level. Look for longs to target 180. Invalidation would be a closure below this blue line here. And if we're looking for shorts, now this is swing shorts. 180 is where I'd be looking for shorts. Okay. Now this could most likely be the potential setup for next week as well if we don't get it on a lower time frame. Most likely Sol is going to give out here. We've already touched this range. I mean, you have a range here. Let's just put that out there first. Here's the range on Sol. Okay, 1, 2, 3 deviation, 4, basically 5 touches, it's getting weaker and weaker. So this is most likely going to give out here. If we're looking for longs on a lower time frame, then a potential area to get long would be down here. Okay, we've already bounced right from it. We have a small little demand zone, 140.5-ish, and very, very tight stops below 138. Because if this gets stopped out, then we're going to the ultimate swing point from that 134 down to 126 level. All right, so these are the potential plays, and it's getting weaker on both sides. So, another touch on that 153, we're most likely going to give out as well. We did turn the mid-range into resistance. Okay, so let's draw some fibs here. Let's assume that's the bottom. If we get a push into this golden pocket zone, okay, I'd most likely look for shorts as well back down to here. Okay, entry around like 150.4, DCA around like 152-ish, stops above this high, and look for a move down. All right, now again, Wednesday we do have the FOMC, so you could see a scam pump into high time frame resistance before we have another down move. Now SUI, let's talk about this. Okay, this is one of the coins that had a ridiculous breakout move. Okay, we broke structure once we broke out from here, right, and then continued to run. Now this coin had an inorganic pump from basically $3 to 360-ish. The reason for that was the Pokemon news, the rumor that Pokemon had migrated over to the SUI network. When you have news like that, inorganic moves that are just based on FOMO, they usually get retraced, okay? So I can definitely see us retracing that whole entire move. And if we look to a lower time frame, we do have that zone where it started. It started right here before that news came out. Then it gave a godly candle. So lower time frame, this demand zone is where most likely price will get respected from. Okay, but I don't think we will have such a strong support from that level. We do have the break of structure point that happened right here. Okay, 278-ish. That is where a retest most likely makes sense. Now, this is most likely going to be a scalp play. Don't risk more than like 1 or 2%. And then if you want to add to your SUI spot bag, this is the area where you want to add. Now, SUI, just like the bullish Quasimodo that I gave you guys, okay, let's draw that really quickly. Okay, so a higher high into a higher low, into a higher high, okay. We came into here, let's go back to the line chart. It's easier to see with the line chart. So higher high, higher low, higher high, lower low, and then we rejected right from that higher high neckline, which is that lower high, and then it gave a move down, all right? So not only did we break the range low level, we actually turned it into resistance. Getting above here is a trigger for a long back to the range highs. This would mean that this is a deviation. Stops below, most likely there. Otherwise, we're looking for the scalp. And in the event that we get a pump around 260, well, a few areas where we could short, all right? So let's assume that we are looking at this fib here. The golden pocket around 354-ish to 356-ish is going to be a potential short area. Hopefully we get a wick into this resistance level. That's where I'd be looking to short. But in the event that we get a push higher, this order block is where I'd be looking to short with a 4-hour closure above the wick high, and eventually, target much lower. Um, Again, 1, 2, 3, 4 got weaker. 1, 2, 3. I don't expect a breakout from this range. We've already deviated from this range, so you have a few options. Adding to your spot bags on this break of structure, retest, and then scalp here, a confirmation long there, and a limit short there. All right. Now there are other coins that I'm looking at, but I'm not going to be, I don't want to make this into a long, what do you call, a long video here. This is more of an educational point, but these are the coins that I've been trading over and over again. So Bitcoin, ETH, Sol, Sui, a few other coins as well. But if you are able to just understand, the basics of a market structure, how to play a range, you could have milked this multiple times, right? Like we had the resistance, it already established a range, range highs to lows, rejected again from the highs, bounced from the lows, rejected from the highs, gave a bounce from the lows, turned into resistance. You could have taken like 4 shorts or a 4 different setups from this just range alone, right? So, like I said, pick 1 or 2 coins that you guys know really well and just understand how that coin trades, and you could just milk profits instead of having 10 different positions open at once. All right, so these videos are more educational purpose, not try to give setups and go over a million coins. If I do give anything again, guys, it's going to be in my channel. That's it from me. I will see you guys next week.